First and foremost, labeling. Proper labeling is critical for workplace safety. Ensure that all hazardous materials received from suppliers have the correct labels. When transferring a product from its original supplier container to another container, always apply a workplace label. An exception applies if the container is used by only one worker during a single shift and is clearly identified. Proper labeling helps prevent accidents and ensures everyone knows what they are handling. Employers must ensure that a copy of every current safety data sheet, SDS, for hazardous materials is accessible to workers in the workplace for easy reference, provided to the Health and Safety Committee, given to the local medical officer upon request, shared with the fire department if requested or required, filed with the director when required.
Safety data sheets used to be called material safety data sheets, but when GHS rolled around, they dropped the M. And so far, nobody seems to miss it. Now, there are 16 sections to a safety data sheet, and now every copy will have the same information in the same section. Here's what information you can find and use from an SDS. Section 1, Identification. This section includes the product identifier, manufacturer or distributor, name, address, phone number, emergency phone number, and recommended use. Section 2, Hazard Identification. This is an important one. It includes the basic hazards and the required label elements that we talked about in the last section. Section 3, Composition, Information on Ingredients. Here you can find out what's actually in the substance. Section 4, First Aid Measures. This one is super important. Look in this section to find symptoms, effects, and required treatment. Section 5, Firefighting. Remember, not all fires can be extinguished with water or a typical ABC fire extinguisher. This section lists the right type of extinguishing equipment to use in the event of a fire. Section 6, Accidental Release Measures. Accidental release is just a fancy way of saying spills, but when it comes to hazardous substances, those spills can be solids, liquids, or gases. This section will tell you how to contain the spill and the right way to manage cleanup. Section 7, Handling and Storage. Remember, it's not a good idea to store incompatible substances together. This section will give you information on safe handling and storage. Section 8, Exposure Controls and Personal Protective Equipment. In cases where OSHA has defined a permissible exposure limit, this section will include them, as well as any recommended personal protective equipment. Section 9, Physical and Chemical Properties. This one is actually surprisingly useful. Here you can find information like pH and boiling point. Section 10, Stability and Reactivity. This includes the chemical stability and the possibility of hazardous reactions. Section 11, Toxicological Information. If you're looking to find out more information about any toxicology studies that have been conducted on the substance, this is an excellent place to start. Now, after that, the next 4 are really pretty straightforward. Section 12 is Ecological Information and talks about any ecological hazards you may need to consider. Section 13 is Disposal Considerations and outlines the proper way to dispose of the chemical. Section 14 is Transportation Information. 15 is Regulatory Information and will tell you about any relevant regulations to the substance. And Section 16 is just any additional information the manufacturer chooses to include. This could include something like the date of preparation or the batch number. Whew, that is a lot of information in one information packet. And I'll tell you what, usually you won't go through and read the whole thing, but the sections are short, so if you're looking for specific information, break it up into smaller chunks. They're actually pretty short, to the point, and easy to get what you need. Start with maybe just first aid and understand it and go from there. Remember, it may not be the most fascinating thing that you'll ever read, but the information in here can have a direct impact on your health. The ability to have this information at our fingertips is something that's relatively new to the workplace overall, and it's a right that we should all exercise.
The global harmonized system categorizes hazards into three types: physical hazards, health hazards, environmental hazards. Some chemicals can react dangerously, releasing heat, gas, and pressure, which may cause fires, explosions, or other hazards. These include certain explosives, self-reactive substances, and organic peroxides types A and B. Common examples like bleaching and disinfecting agents can become hazardous if mixed improperly or exposed to heat. Proper handling, storage, and awareness are key to preventing accidents in the workplace. Flammable materials are classified as flammable gases, aerosols, liquids, solids, or reactive flammable materials. Risk phrases may include may explode violently in heat or fire, easily ignited, or may be ignited by heat, sparks, and flames. These materials can pose a significant danger of fire and explosion. Flammable materials are like kindling for a fire. They can catch fire easily and need to be handled and stored carefully to prevent accidents. These materials can pose a danger of fire and explosion. Flammables are more dangerous than combustibles because they ignite more easily. During use, they must be kept away from ignition sources such as sparks or open flames. When not in use, they must be stored in fire-resistant cabinets or other specified storage areas. Examples of flammable materials include solvents, grease, oil, paint, fuels, and propane. These are like the cleaning solvents or oils you use in the kitchen. They're useful, but can be dangerous if not handled properly. Oxidizing materials may or may not burn, but they release oxygen or another oxidizing substance. This greatly increases the risk of fire if they come into contact with materials that can burn. Risk phrases include risk of explosion by shock, friction, fire, or other sources of ignition, and contact with combustible material may cause fire or explosion. Oxidizers are like adding fuel to a fire. They might not burn on their own, but they can make other things burn much more intensely if they come into contact. Oxidizing materials should never be stored near corrosive, flammable, or combustible materials. If these classes of materials were to mix, the chemical reaction could create an explosion or fire. Chemicals should be stored separately by class to prevent contact in case of a leak. It's like keeping your cleaning supplies separate. Mixing the wrong ones together can be dangerous, so they need to be stored in their own space. Examples of oxidizing chemicals include household bleach, hydrogen peroxide, swimming pool chemicals, and nitric acid, which is often used in cleaners. These are common items like bleach or pool chemicals. They're effective but need to be stored and used with care. Compressed gases pose hazards from the chemical nature of the gas and from the sudden loss of integrity of the container. Even small pressurized containers can explode, causing fragments or rocket-like projectiles when punctured, dropped, or exposed to excessive heat. Think of compressed gases like a shaken soda can. If it's handled roughly or punctured, it can burst open suddenly, creating a dangerous situation. Compressed gas cylinders must be secured or restrained to prevent them from tipping over, whether in use, storage, or transport. This helps prevent accidental release of the gas inside due to damage to the cylinder. Examples of compressed gases include chlorine, used as a disinfectant at swimming pools, propane tanks, natural gas tanks, and fire extinguishers. These are like the propane tanks you use for a barbecue or the gas cylinders in a kitchen. They need to be stored and handled carefully to avoid accidents.